Really excited to talk with you guys today and introduce ShipBob. And I'll get a little bit into ShipBob, but most of this presentation is going to be about fulfillment, your fulfillment options, not only you as your business, but for your clients, and what that landscape looks like. In the 4 years since we started the company, I've met thousands of entrepreneurs around the country, and part of the reason I'm super excited to talk to you guys is the people in the screen printing community have always been the most industrious, colorful, and fiercely independent entrepreneurs we've come across. So really excited to get to know you guys and see some old friends. Justin Moore from Barrel Maker is a good friend of ShipBob, and hopefully make some new friends and get familiar. So how many people in the room have heard of ShipBob before? Cool. So we started the company 4 years ago. My co-founder Drew was working at another startup, and he spent a lot, and he had his own little side project, and he spent a lot of time at the post office where he would go and drop off packages on a daily basis. And while doing that, he kept seeing all these other very, very busy business people and entrepreneurs and solopreneurs in line at the post office or coming out of their car with like 30 packages and waiting in line for 45 minutes, and thought that there had to be a more efficient way to do this, a more efficient way for entrepreneurs to get the packages out and to do shipping and fulfillment. So, like I said, we came out of this program called Y Combinator 4 years ago in summer of 2014, and started our company here in Chicago. And the value and the idea behind the company is to give independent entrepreneurs, small business owners, the independent merchants, the people making, t-shirts and pomade in Brooklyn and vegan handbags around the country, people doing creative stuff. We want to give them the same power, scale, and tools as the big behemoths like Amazon and Jet and Walmart have, because right now they're at a strategic disadvantage with how they fulfill their products and the experience that they're able to provide to their clients. Amazon's, they've already torched Main Street USA, and they're trying to dominate the internet, and they've trained everyone to believe, hey, my package is going to get there in 2 days and it's going to cost $4, $5, $6, and I can expect that. But to the independent e-commerce merchant, that's not possible unless they're working with ShipBob. But I'll kind of go into the presentation and explain the difference that we provide to entrepreneurs, and also kind of spell out the landscape of how it looks. So we're kind of in the same business in the sense that we're providing a service to independent merchants who are running businesses. They're making apparel, they're making designs, they're doing something, and you guys are facilitating a critical component of them for them to be able to run their business. ShipBob is very much the same way. Clients come to us, small business owners. We've got 2,400 clients in 26 countries that are coming to us to get the end product to their customers. So once they finish designing the stuff or creating the product, they work with you guys to actually physically create the product. They need to store their product somewhere, oftentimes, so that they can sell it and ship it out to clients. And that's where we come in. And I think that what we do, both in terms of the technology and our processes on the fulfillment side, we are the gold standard for independent e-commerce businesses. So without getting too much into ShipBob, I wanted to give you guys that background. Hopefully it was helpful, and we can go into the presentation. All right, so for the agenda of what we'll cover, I want to go over how to know when you're ready to outsource fulfillment. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, before you became screen printers, actually probably had apparel businesses, and this is a question that you've personally faced. Hey, so I'm spending a lot of time doing my own fulfillment. I'm getting my friends and family to come in and help me package on Saturdays. At what point do I need to outsource my operation to an independent 3PL or somebody outside of the company? Or at what point is this still reasonable for me to do myself? I want to talk about also the benefits of outsourcing your fulfillment and how to choose the right 3PL for your business, which is super important, because not every 3PL is just going to have the same blanket product, just like every screen printer is not going to have the same capabilities and technology and turnaround times as the others. So first, how to know when you're ready to outsource fulfillment. For a lot of your clients, and perhaps for you guys as well at some point in running your businesses, these are questions that you've asked yourself or that you've faced. Who at some point has spent several hours a week packing their own boxes and shipping out their orders, or having your team do it? Yeah, So it's not the best use of your time. Time is the most valuable commodity you have. Sometimes it's something you have to do when you're running an apparel business. Ideally, you'd rather have someone do that so you can focus on other parts of your business, product development, technology, marketing, SEO, whole gamut of other options. Running out of space to store my inventory. This is another problem. So we actually, as a company, ShipBob didn't have a warehouse mechanism until we went to Brooklyn. And as I was walking around meeting entrepreneurs in Brooklyn, I kept hearing the same story, which was, hey, I'm not sure if I want to outsource my fulfillment to another company or have you guys pick up my packages and pick up my shirts and apparel and my handbags. But if you're somehow able to take all this inventory off my hands, I will give you my business, because my significant other, my partner, my girlfriend, my wife, husband is going to kill me if I don't, clear out the garage or clear out the living room of boxes and inventory and things like that. So at that point, you may want to consider moving to, partnering with a fulfillment house to get your fulfillment done. Also, touching on the point we just talked about, time. Time is so super important, and for you to spend your valuable time working on, packaging boxes and getting out the door, paying somebody to do that when you could be working on growing the business instead of just executing it, that's also really important. A lot of you guys have stores on e-commerce platforms or have websites hosted on platforms like Shopify and BigCommerce, and the majority of your clients do, who come to you to get the apparel printed. Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Squarespace. There's a lot of them out there now. Maybe some of them are really exceptional and do a great job for the SMBs. How to know when you're ready, when you're not ready to outsource fulfillment. So these are typical signs that you'll see that maybe I'm not ready to take that step yet. This is still manageable. Signs that you're not ready for a 3PL. You're not yet shipping products. That's pretty obvious. You don't have inventory. You don't have an e-commerce website up yet. All very obvious signs that working with an outside source for your shipping and fulfillment is not ready yet. You need to keep complete control over your packaging. Traditionally, this is what people think. I need to complete control over my packaging. There's a certain way, a certain customer experience that we're trying to provide with how we're packaging it, and so no one else can do it but us, which is not true, but this is what's going through the SMB's mind as they're trying to find out, okay, what's the best option for my company? How am I going to be able to scale this custom packaging process? And you still have other time for tasks other than packing. So if you spend from 11 to 11:30 in your day packaging boxes and getting them out the door, and then you have time the rest of the day to work on other stuff, you probably are not in need for a 3PL at that point. Any questions so far? I know I'm going kind of fast through this because we're heading into lunch, but.
When you mean inventory, are you referring to blank goods that are not finished or completely finished garments?
Both.
Okay.
Both. So we'll store blank goods, which we then send to screen printers, and then either come back to us or get shipped directly if it's a large volume order, or finished products. Once they come back from the screen printers, go to our fulfillment centers around the country, and we'll stay there until they sell individually on the website, on the Shopify store or BigCommerce store. Anything else? The benefits of outsourcing your fulfillment. So why outsource fulfillment? Well, one, it totally frees up resources and allows you to focus instead on things like product development, marketing, growing your business, creating new features for your clients, creating new design ideas. So if you're spending 4 or 5 hours a day or your Saturday afternoons just picking and getting products out the door and waiting for the USPS to come by and pick them up, you could be working on other stuff that's more geared toward growing your business than to actually just executing what you've already done. You don't have to store inventory in your house or lease a warehouse, get equipment, staff, workers' comp, liability insurance. So for you guys, this is, you need your warehouses, you have your machines, you have your technology in there, you need to do the printing. But for a lot of your clients, this is a question that they face. Okay, so I've had 10,000 shirts printed. Do I store them in my house? Do I put them in my living room or my garage and try to sell them? Or do I pay a couple kids out of college $12 an hour to kind of organize it and ship it out as the orders come in? Or can I partner with a fulfillment center? Can I partner with somebody that I can trust to hold on to the shirts, and as the orders come in, orders come in, We completely automate that process. Once they're printed, they go to my other partner who's a 3PL, and that whole process of my business is completely automated, and I don't have to worry about it. Obviously, you guys deal in this, but for a lot of SMBs dealing with boxes, packaging supplies, working the queue line and waiting for shipments and post office lines is also a pain point that you experience at some point in your business and could be overwhelming to younger fledgling companies and people who are solopreneurs and they're doing everything themselves. It could totally be overwhelming. Utilize another benefit of working with the 3PLs, utilize the 3PL's volume. Oftentimes, if you're going at it yourself, you have to negotiate your rates with USPS, UPS, DHL yourself. If you work with a traditional 3PL, they're aggregating the volume of them working with hundreds or thousands of clients around the world, which they can then negotiate heavy price discounts and pass on a portion of the discounts to you. So a lot of the companies who come on board and work with us often find that our rates are lower than the rates that they're able to negotiate independently with the major carriers. So if you're a young business, or if you're any sort of business, that is a huge benefit of working with the 3PL that has a lot of customers and can aggregate volume. You can also utilize the 3PL's expertise, experience, and geographic footprint, which I'll get into of why that's important. And that's something that uniquely my company does that no other independent 3PL in the country can do. Also, get orders quicker and more affordably. Get orders to customers quicker and more affordably, which is a huge goal nowadays in this age of Amazon. How to choose the right 3PL for your business. Traditional 3PL versus modern 3PL. The traditional 3PL, you'll have, so all of you guys have worked with a 3PL at some point, right? The industry hasn't been disrupted for like 50, 60, 70 years. It's always been the same. You send us the goods, we'll charge you on the receiving, we'll charge you to pick the items, we'll charge you to pack the items, and we'll also charge you, postage on the labeling. And so for a young business, the potential of, having, a pick fee, a pack fee, and the various other fees cuts into margins that doesn't really allow the business to scale efficiently. Also, the processes are very manual. They're geared toward how they've always done things. And the locations are technically, Reno, Nevada, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, places where there's a huge footprint and very cheap real estate. So you'll see, large fulfillment centers and distribution centers, but if a client wants to do a pop-up shop on the weekend on the Lower East Side of New York or Brooklyn or downtown Los Angeles, it's going to cost you a lot of money to get that, 2 or 3 pallets worth of goods from Reno, Nevada to Los Angeles, or from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to Brooklyn. So the modern 3PL, what this new generation of e-commerce merchants need is an ability to set in a central location, manage orders, manage inventory, and manage returns. They ideally would rather not have 3 or 4 platforms doing this. They would love it all in one place where it's very clear and easy to understand. Automation used is also a really important feature. The more automated you can make any processes in running your business, the easier it is for you to run that business and focus on what the agenda is for that day, week, month, quarter, instead of having to go through various manual processes. Also, it's really important for various reasons to be located near where your customers are. So that's historically not very possible because you'll be based in Los Angeles, California, and you'll be shipping orders out to Bangor, Maine, and Miami, Florida. Typically, those orders are going to take you 4, 5, 6 days to ship. It'll cost you a decent amount of coin because you're shipping long distance, and if it needs to be expedited, you'll definitely pay a lot of money because it'll be air. What the modern SMB needs, what this new generation of e-commerce merchants need, is what we're finding is they need to be close. They need to have their inventory close to where their customers are. So if you can find a way to distribute your inventory all over the country, so when an order comes in for Bangor, Maine, it gets shipped from the East Coast, not from halfway around the country in Chicago or Denver or Colorado or Utah. The slide goes into a little bit on warehouse versus a fulfillment center. There's a difference. A lot of people say warehouse and fulfillment center interchangeably as if they're two of the same things. They're technically not. While both are large buildings that hold inventory for businesses that sell goods, a warehouse exists solely to store products, and the services basically include just storage. So if you need to ship it out, you're going to load up 3 or 4 pallets of goods and actually send it to a fulfillment center or send it to yourself so you can actually do the final piece in sending it out. A fulfillment center, on the other hand, exists to get orders to customers in a timely fashion. So services include receiving inventory, picking products, kitting items, packing boxes, labeling, shipments, shipping orders, managing returns, etc. So this is a full gamut of what a business needs because they're going to, at some point, experience all of these things. I'm sure you guys work with a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses that kit a lot. That's also, when you have to get 15, 20,000 items out in 48 hours, traditional warehouse is not going to be able to do that for you. A very talented fulfillment center and a fulfillment center operation is going to be able to make that possible. Technology, this is a huge piece. So the traditional 3PLs and the traditional landscape in fulfillment centers they're not tech companies. They're not enabled with technology. Everything that they have to implement for certain customers has to be bought or developed with a large timeline and usually comes with a huge fee. Technologies understand how the 3PLs, the customers need a 3PL that understands how their technology works. So one, at the very minimum, it needs to connect to your online store, whether that is Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, Squarespace. It needs to be able to connect. So when the orders come in, your B2C orders come in online, they get filtered into your fulfillment center, they get picked, packed, and shipped out, and then get re-uploaded back into your website. That, at the very least, is necessary. It also helps you leverage data. The more data you have as a business, so like, hey, where your orders are coming from, your shipping cost, your transit times, the more helpful that is to help you running a business and getting the information you need to make decisions to get better at it. Manage orders, inventory, and returns, same thing. These are basic fundamental things that this new generation of e-commerce customers need to run their business. Also, mapping shipping options and letting you know what your options are is super critical. A lot of people are like, well, I get everything via USPS or UPS, and those are my only options. A very helpful fulfillment center in FC will help you map all those and show you what your options and choices are. And a lot of times there are services like part of companies like DHL and FedEx that the young business or the independent entrepreneur hasn't ever realized is possible to them and available to them. So an FC will help you find those and take action on it if it makes sense for your business. Any questions up until this point? I know I'm going kind of fast. Cool. Location, location, location. So this is also really important. We all know urban versus rural fulfillment centers. Traditionally, historically, it's always been rural fulfillment centers. It's very rare to find urban fulfillment centers, but that's changing as the expectations of buyers are changing. And Amazon's, we have a conversation is always Amazon, but it's true. They're delivering in 1 day and 2 days, and it's making it really quick. Sometimes they're doing same day. And as that becomes the standard, it's important to have a presence near urban areas so that you can actually fulfill those expectations that customers have. Total number of fulfillment centers, the more reach you have around the country, the quicker you're able to get your products into customers' hands. Because like I said in the earlier example, if you're shipping everywhere from one location, obviously there's going to be certain zones that are going to take more time and cost more money. But if you have your inventory distributed around the country, which our company is able to do, you're able to quickly get the products out the door to your customers and have, provide a delightful experience for them from buying from you and purchasing your products. This is actually a really cool graphic. I actually love this. So, to what I was just talking about, if you use one fulfillment center, you'll see as the shipping zones graphic at the bottom goes from left to right, the more red it is, the more it costs. It's a further shipping zone. So in this example, the customer is based in Los Angeles. And you'll see with just adding 2 distribution centers or fulfillment centers around the country, you're essentially eliminating zones 6, 7, and 8 from the picture of what you're able to reach, with your fulfillment. Any questions on this? This is actually one of my favorite graphics. So just turning on one or two more fulfillment centers will allow you to reduce your shipping costs by 30, 40, 50, 60% and get your products to your customers' hands a lot quicker than they'd ever imagined or previously experienced with you.
What percentage is it by zone, do you know?
What do you mean?
Well, like when you go to the, so like 3-day versus 4-day and 5-day, how much does it go up?
The cost?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's a lot of variables in terms of like the weight, size, and the destination of it. It's usually between like 8 and 12%, 8 and 14%. Meeting customer expectations. So we talked about how this is the new standard and expectations, 2-day shipping. How will the 3PL that you're considering partnering with help you keep shipping costs low? That's a question, because oftentimes the traditional 3PL doesn't really care about the business necessarily growing because they have a great business that's funded essentially by their legacy clients, the 20% of their clients doing 80% of their revenue. So if you're a new shop coming in with a cool idea for t-shirt designs or apparel, they're like, hey, this is our pricing, this is the way we've always done things, this is it, take it or leave it. And these are usually the options that entrepreneurs face when deciding, hey, it's gotten to a point where I'm shipping more than 100 orders a day, I'm spending a lot of time doing this. There are no good partners out there. So when you're assessing, hey, who am I going to use for a 3PL? Will they allow me to keep my costs low? Will they be conducive? Will this pricing model be conducive to me scaling my business? And it's a super important question to ask. So how will they reduce time in transit? 2-day shipping and next day and same day shipping. Is that even possible? Well, with ShipBob it is. There are no other independent 3PLs in the country that are able to provide 2-day shipping. Right now we're able to cover 98% of the continental United States with 2-day shipping utilizing distributed inventory. Next day shipping and same day shipping is something that we're in pilot program right now, and we will roll out as 2018 becomes 2019. Justin?
One thing that I thought was really cool about ShipBob and kind of like when we first started talking is the locations, the fact that you guys are in more populated urban areas. Is the focus of ShipBob to get to same-day shipping? Is that like the goal?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're already piloting it with companies like Chubby's, and pretty soon we might be doing it with a company I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with called Jewel. I've actually got one in my pocket. And so they're interested in doing same-day shipping in Dallas and San Francisco as a pilot program. So yes, same-day shipping is something that a lot of the more established companies are looking to do and are already doing. Chewy's, the pet food company, is doing that in New York and in Chicago and in Florida. And as that becomes the mainstream, we want to be able to provide the independent merchants with the same ability so they can continue to compete and get their awesome products and innovative products out there to the world with the same expectations and meet the expectations that customers now have because the big companies are already doing it. Any questions on 2-day, same day, or next day shipping?
How many locations do you have?
So we have 6 fulfillment centers currently. So we have Chicago, Brooklyn, LA, San Francisco, and Dallas. And then
You're all under you,
yeah, we actually own our fulfillment centers, which is one of the it's very important that we own our fulfillment centers because a lot of people build cool software like we have, but then build out a network by selling the software to a lot of different fulfillment centers, whereas we actually own and operate our fulfillment centers, and our technology is completely vertically integrated. And so we're able to provide a level of consistency that you really can't find anywhere else. We've built everything from the software to the processes in the fulfillment centers, and there's no variability between having it fulfilled out of Dallas as it is in San Francisco or Brooklyn or LA. Other considerations that your clients and businesses should take into account when deciding whether they're ready to work with a 3PL or not is the 3PL going to be able to provide international shipping at some point. Sometimes this takes businesses by surprise where they're like, oh, I opened this on the Shopify store and I got orders internationally. I didn't think I would, but how am I going to ship it to Australia or how am I going to ship it to Europe? But that's something at some point that every business wants to be able to do. So you have to make sure the 3PL that you are vetting has the ability to do international shipping. Is there customer support when things go wrong? When the package meant for Scottsdale, Arizona ends up in Provo, Utah, is there going to be somebody to talk to find out what the heck happened? That's another important thing that you need to think about when you're deciding on a 3PL. Subscription boxes, crowdfunding, FBA prep, B2B wholesale orders. These are realities that businesses now have to have. Traditional 3PLs oftentimes are not able to provide this. You know, the subscription boxes have blown up the last 4 or 5 years. Crowdfunding campaigns, if you need oftentimes, or if your business needs to get out thousands of orders in a very short timeline, are they able to do it, and do they have a special process for executing that? A lot of them don't, and if they do, they're going to charge, you know, a lot out of the pocket to make that happen. FBA prep. So a lot of our clients and a lot of merchants think that, you know, going on Amazon and working with Amazon is the road to El Dorado, but it's not necessarily true. You guys know this. You post your product on Amazon or you're working with FBA, it's not a bad marketplace to have a presence, but ultimately at the end of the day, you're not capturing that customer's email address. It's preventing you from building a brand and making a connection to your clients so that 2 or 3, 4 months from now, they're not going to come back to you. They don't even know your company name. They just know that they bought it on Amazon. That being said, it's important for clients to, you know, have their independent website, whether that's on Shopify or Squarespace or BigCommerce, but also have the ability to integrate on the same platform and have a presence on FBA, because that, you know, it's the marketplace of this generation. A lot of people do go there, but you can't put all your marbles onto Amazon and FBA prep. So ultimately, it's important to have FBA prep as an option, because at some point you might want to dabble in the Amazon market, and you need to be able to be sure that they can send your products to Amazon. Custom branded boxes, a white label service. This is something I'm a huge fan of that I think a lot of your merchants probably are too. Creating a custom experience for their customers. So whether that's a box taped a certain way or colorful packaging or tissue paper, in terms of creating a brand identity and a customer experience, you want to be able to be sure if that's what you want to do, that your 3PL is able to facilitate that. Freight shipping assistance, also really important. A lot of 3PLs will just be like, hey, we have the product here. If you want to ship it, 3 or 4 pallets, you're on your own. We'll just get it ready for you. It's important that the 3PL is able to assist you in coordinating that and provides resources to help you make that happen. Processing returns is a pain point, but a reality of every business. The fact that they need to be able to take your customers' returns and process them and restock them if possible, instead of sending them back to your house or wherever your office is, and then you having to send those returns to the fulfillment center. So you gotta make sure that 3PL can process returns. And you need to gauge the length of onboarding and getting started quickly. A lot of times people are excited and ready to go, but if the 3PL really is focused on their legacy clients, it may take 3, 4, 5, 6 days to set up. A good 3PL will be able to turn you around and get you going in 24 to 48 hours. Or outsourcing fulfillment takeaways. This is to recap. Fulfillment isn't sustainable once you hit a certain point. We all know that. You can't do your own fulfillment forever if you're planning on consistently growing your business year over year. A modern 3PL can help you compete with today's retail giants, and there are resources out there for SMBs to actually operate and compete on the same level. But a lot of them don't know about that, and that's something that we're trying to change at ShipBob. Integrated technology is essential for automation. So instead of having 7 or 8 different apps working to have this kind of hack job dashboard is unacceptable. There's too much already going on in running a business. You need all that information centralized with direct integrations. And the 3PL should be able to provide that. ShipBob does, but any 3PL should be able to provide that, and they usually don't. And the fulfillment center location plays a vital role in pleasing your customers. And we'll see this evolve as time goes on. I mean, right now we're just kind of in this
new era in which 2-day shipping is becoming the standard, but as millennials get older and buy more products, that's going to be the standard across the board. And you need to be able to be sure that your products are able to get to your customers' hands in an acceptable time frame. We don't necessarily turn away any customers. You know, we built the company based on independent merchants taking a shot on us. And so we don't say, hey, there's a minimum. A lot of 3PLs do. They're like, we're not going to waste time with your business. We kind of like to give businesses time to express themselves and express their strategy. However, if they are shipping below a certain amount, like say 100 shipments a month or 50 shipments a month, and they foresee that going on for the next 3 or 4 months, we'll give them resources and kind of bring them through like our minor league program. And we also have a 3PL that we can send them to in Colorado called Mile High Fulfillment, which deals specifically in these very low volume type of merchants. And then once they get kind of their footing and they get rolling, they come back to ShipBob, or they come to ShipBob, and it's almost like a minor league to a big league program. Cool. Thank you guys so much.